bitches go.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego Unpacked. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Canelo Alvarez and Sergey Kovalev negotiations continue. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Well, Canelo is trying to get a fight. He said he wants the, this is funny. Canelo, ever since he fought Mayweather and lost to him, and then ever since Mayweather retired, he says he's of Mexican descent, so he wants the quote-unquote Mexican dates. And it looks like he's having an awful hard time landing on an opponent. But sources with Sports Illustrated say Kovalev's promoter engages with Eddie Hearn to help try to finalize the Canelo showdown. They're trying to figure out this September 14th who Canelo will fight. Link in the description for the Sports Illustrated article. Chris Mannix, who also works with DAZN, he wrote the article, said Las Vegas, in an effort to find enough money to finalize a light heavyweight showdown between 175-pound champ Sergey Kovalev and middleweight kingpin Saul Canelo Alvarez, Kovalev's promoter Main Events has engaged Eddie Hearn in discussions on a multi-fight deal. Two sources familiar with the discussion told Sports Illustrated. Hearn, who has an output deal with streaming service DAZN, is interested per a source. The two sides have swapped proposals in the last 24 hours. Kovalev has emerged as the preferred opponent for Alvarez, the unified middleweight title holder and boxing's top draw. But negotiations between Alvarez's promoter, Golden Boy, and Main Events have been bumpy. After Main Events rejected Golden Boy's initial offer, Golden Boy raised it to roughly $6 million. A source familiar with the offer told Sports Illustrated. Still, Kovalev is believed to be seeking an offer in the $10 to $12 million range to fight Canelo. When reached by phone, Kovalev's manager, Egis Klimas, pointed to Danny Jacobs' purse for his unification with Canelo, $12 million, as being the baseline for the negotiations. Quote, everybody knows Jacobs got $12 million, Klimas told Sports Illustrated. If you compare the value of that bout to one with the legendary Kovalev, a three-time world champion, plus Canelo coming to a new weight class, that would make him huge. Imagine if Canelo beats him. What value can Canelo get out of that? And if Kovalev beats Canelo, this is just a mega fight. I think this is a better fight than Canelo versus Gennady Golovkin. Everybody says Canelo beat Golovkin. Who else is he going to fight? The money for Kovalev could potentially be made up in the form of a comeback fight or fights. Enter Eddie Hearn, who has significant resources and a mandate to bring tentpole fights to DAZN. While most of the top fighters in the light heavyweight division are aligned with Top Rank, facts, which has its own output deal with ESPN, Hearn has worked closely with Dimitri Bivol, a 175-pound title holder whose last fight, a lopsided decision win over Joe Smith Jr., was streamed by DAZN. Bivol, who is without an opponent, recently returned to Los Angeles to begin a training camp and is clamoring for a significant fight. Quote, it's time for me to unify light heavyweight or fight one of the world champions at super middleweight. So he's getting antsy. This is Bivol. I've received many accolades from the international media and fans, but most important for me is proving in the ring I am the best light heavyweight in the world. My team has had discussions with representatives with all the other belt holders from light heavyweights like Sergey Kovalev, Artur Beterbiev, Alexander Vodstik, and there's been no response for these title unification fights that fans want to see. We're all very good fighters. Let's prove to the fan which one is best. Even if Kovalev loses to Canelo, he will remain a viable opponent for Bivol. Kovalev is the most well-known name in the light heavyweight division after years of widespread exposure on U.S. platforms NBC and HBO. A resolution to the Canelo Kovalev negotiations needs to happen pronto, quickly. Kovalev's mandatory title defense against Anthony Yarde is tentatively penciled in for August 24th. If Canelo prefers to push that fight to later in the year, Main Events would be open to working with Hearn on broadcasting Kovalev Yarde on DAZN. according to an industry source. If Kovalev wins, he would be ready to fight Canelo as early as December. There's no significant pressure on Golden Boy, which was unable to deliver that fight that DAZN wanted, a third go-round with Golovkin. If Golden Boy cannot deliver Kovalev, the only fighter DAZN approved for Canelo would be taken off the board. This shit is a mess. You know, Canelo just won ESPN ESPY for the best fighter, but, you know, behind the scenes, this other stuff is really a mess. I don't know what's going to happen. I want to know what you guys think. My thoughts are simple. Canelo Kovalev is not a bad fight by any means in terms of, you know, just a weird stylistic matchup. However, I don't like the ripple in the pond effect. I feel like fights like this really don't need to happen and shouldn't happen under the current circumstances. For one, there's only 8.5 weeks before September 14th. So if you're trying to stage a mega fight, how you going to stage a mega fight? And training camps alone are usually 8 to 10 weeks. So I want to see both fighters at their best get the full training camp, you know? And I don't really care about fighters starting training camps and they don't even know if they're going to fight, because you have to train and it has to be tailor-made for that specific opponent, you know? Fly in sparring partners to mimic the best that they can for Canelo style or Kovalev style, etc. So they're cutting it extremely close here. I don't like that, especially if this is supposed to be a mega fight. The other thing is, to me, there's a danger, but it's, to me, I call it an advanced cherry pick. Not saying Kovalev has no level of danger for Canelo. However, to me, it's an advanced cherry pick because Canelo is bypassing talented names at 160, Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, who is aligned with his promoter, or excuse me, with his promotional outfit, which is DAZN. This makes no sense. Why would DAZN, as you've seen in the article and it's been reported, that they approved 2 names? DAZN, I don't know who's running the show, but it's really weird. You know, Demetrius Andrade, the fans want to see good quality fights. Andrade is undefeated, ain't been stopped. Why on earth would DAZN only approve Canelo versus Triple G Part 3? We've already seen for 24 rounds, and people, in my opinion, at least me and a lot of people I've talked to, are over that fight and that whole trilogy. It's not no Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, Juan Manuel Marquez, Pacquiao. It's no trilogy like that. It's not Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward. It doesn't belong in the same breath as those classic fights, or Diego Corrales, Castillo. Like, it doesn't belong anywhere in those monumental fights. So why is it just Triple G or Kovalev at 175? Again, I don't like what this represents for boxing. Canelo is a good fighter. Canelo is popular, you know, but moves like this can happen at any time. He can move up. I don't like Canelo. Why do I want to see Canelo fight Chavez Jr. at a catchweight of 164.5, fight Golovkin to a draw? A lot of people had a problem with the result. Then schedule a rematch with Golovkin, fail a drug test with clenbuterol. He says it was the meat. Then fight Golovkin, beat him. Some people said it was controversial. I didn't really see the controversy. I thought Canelo beat him. You know, Golovkin finally showed some signs of life in the second half of the fight. Then move up to 168 to fight Rocky Fielding, who got destroyed by Caleb Smith. You know, then move back down to 160. Fight Danny Jacobs in the unification. It didn't really deliver in terms of, I expected more from both fighters, to be honest. I thought it was a close fight. Canelo looked extremely good early, but then he fizzled out like he's done in the midway to late points of certain fights fighting a bigger guy. He kind of fizzled out, and then that's when Jacobs come on. But Jacobs had a very extremely slow start, you know. So move back down to 160. People still give you credit, you know. That's a unified fight. And then this franchise champion stuff, you basically get stripped because you don't want to fight Jamal Charlo, you know, and they create a new position and a new belt to further confuse the division and make things worse. And Charlo wins his fight. Andrade fights the same night. He wins his fight. You're not fighting none of them, and then you shoot up to 175. DAZN is like, who's calling the shots? Who thinks that this is needed? You know, so Canelo, he's fighting at 164.5 against Chavez Jr., who has discipline and weight issues. You know, so jump up there, then jump back down to 160, fail a drug test after a draw, then stay at 160, then move to 68 for Rocky Fielding, you know, with rehydration clauses, you know, then drop back down to 160, unify with a rehydration clause that Danny Jacobs didn't listen to, you know, and then now shoot up 2 division. It's just, it's funny as hell to see a lot of Canelo fans and Canelo himself and others like Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, Bernard Hopkins. They criticize Mayweather versus Conor McGregor and circus fights, and why is Mayweather, you know, why did Mayweather fight this guy and this and that and tension and all that. But this is a circus too. You know, the talent pool at 160 to 168 is definitely busy. You got a lot of dope fights for Canelo just right there. You know, you have the Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, a fresh, undefeated, tall, as he says, tall, dark, and handsome, you know, who's still winning. He's a champion. That would be another unification. You have Jermall Charlo. That would establish, you know, first of all, that would be a huge fight in Texas because Charlo's from Texas. Canelo has a huge fan base in Texas. That would clarify this whole franchise thing. You know, who's the real WBC champion? You know, overlook both of them. You could still fight Triple G, but he doesn't want to fight Triple G because he don't want to give him a paycheck or whatever his reason is, right? Then you look at 168. You got David Benavidez. He said Rello. He lost to Eliter Alvarez in the first fight, then came back in the second fight. So this is, to me, this is an advanced cherry pick because it's more than meets the eye. You know, again, there's still an element of danger because Kovalev is a good fighter, but Canelo's a hell of an inside fighter. And we've seen Kovalev not at his best. We've seen Kovalev not like it to the body. We've seen Kovalev get broken down. We've seen Kovalev's heart get pulled from his chest and questioned. We haven't seen that with Alexander Vodstick. We haven't seen that with Artur Beterbiev. We haven't seen that with, you know, Caleb Smith at 168. We haven't seen that with Dimitri Bivol, who's been calling out Canelo. So, you know, it's just real strategic. I think they like Canelo's team likes the stylistic matchup if he is to move up, because them other guys are more like wild cards. Beterbiev hits like a mule, and then on top of that, you know, there's less data at the highest of levels to know how he'll perform. We've already seen Kovalev at his best and at his worst. We've seen his shortcomings, you know, and I think that's why they're considering that. And, you know, it's crazy. It's getting crazy around this time for DAZN because DAZN needs big fights. They're leading the market, not in a good way, in terms of their price point. The amount you have to pay to be a member of DAZN and get a monthly subscription, they have the highest price point. So they need big fights, and you know, I think they're in search of that, but I'm not really with I like fights that shape the division, that make sense, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. And I know a lot of people are going to bring up Floyd. Floyd had a 22-year career. You know, when Canelo was not even born or in Pampers, Floyd was fighting. So Floyd, he's already, just like Miguel Cotto, Pacquiao, Floyd, Juan Manuel Marquez, they've already done legacy shit. They got that out the way. You know, Oscar De La Hoya is another person, crazy resume. These other guys are still developing their path and journey. So I don't want to see the A-side this and A-side this and strategic move this and, you know, fights that don't make sense in the current. Again, the time is, if Canelo is to fight Kovalev, you're only giving it 8.5 weeks, and you have to try to put this together real quick. It's intriguing because it's a weight class move. Anytime someone moves up in weight, you know, you're going to pay attention. Kovalev has power. He can box. I don't think Kovalev's a pushover, but like I said, out of all the guys at light heavyweight, why'd you pick Kovalev? You know, because they're saying he's the most recognizable name, but he's also the one that has fought the best competition, and we've seen his shortcomings and weaknesses too, but either way, they got to get this show on the road with this particular fight, because it's not looking good for DAZN, because fans almost check out when it's just like nonstop drama and stuff, and it's making way for other stars. You're not, as a boxing fan, you're not encountering this. You're not having to deal with this franchise title, and then Canelo wants to fight Jaime Munguia, or Canelo, it's just been a lot of not the right energy. Canelo made a statement he don't want to fight against people from Mexico. He don't want to fight another Mexican. Where do they do that at? Where do you have the luxury of not fighting someone who looks like you? And then after he said that, months later, they're talking about Jaime Munguia for Canelo, who's straight out of Mexico. He's from Tijuana. So it's just like the inconsistencies, and it's ugly right now. It's not a good look. And I don't think boxing is not needed all these crazy weight class jumps. I want to see Canelo in good competitive fights. There's a ton of those at 160 or 168, the two divisions where he's currently a champion. He doesn't have to move up anywhere. You get what I'm saying? And then the other thing is, he fought a big athletic guy, and his stamina was in question. Canelo's. See, why is he willing to fight against Kovalev, who's bigger than Jacobs, and has been fighting at light heavyweight? It's because the stylistic matchup. Kovalev himself has stamina issues, so his team likes the matchup. They would rather deal with Kovalev, who's two divisions bigger, based on his style matchup and his shortcomings, as I mentioned, mixed with his strengths. They're like, all right, Kovalev can hit hard, he has a good jab, but he's slower, and on the, just get a piece of paper, fold it in half, hot dog style. That's what my teacher used to say. Fold it in half, hot dog style, and then write pros and cons. You look at Kovalev, pros, good jab, pro, experience, pro, he's weight advantage, etc., and write those down. And then you look at the cons. He has some mileage on him. He's been stopped before, more than once. Andre Ward, Alida Alvarez. Cons, some people question his heart when Andre Ward, came super correct in the rematch. Cons, he's older than Canelo. Cons would be, he doesn't like the inside fight game. Like, he doesn't have a good inside fight game. Cons, he's not, he has stamina issues himself, and he doesn't like it to the body. You get what I'm saying? So you start writing those down, and then you look at Canelo, what he does well. Again, I'm not saying it's going to be an easy fight, but they would rather deal with someone two divisions bigger, because those weaknesses Canelo might be able to exploit. Canelo's a hellacious volume combination, not volume really, but a combination puncher, very precise, picks his shot. He's smaller, he's moving up, so he'll probably have the hand speed advantage. He strings together nice combinations, definitely the better inside fighter, so they would rather deal with it. It's a strategic thing. They like, Kovalev, they recognize and respect probably Kovalev's strengths, but they like Canelo's strengths against that more than a guy like Demetrius Andrade. You'd be dealing with a bigger guy, but sometimes he fights in the pocket, and he's a southpaw. Sometimes he uses his legs. He has good legs. He's not as old as Kovalev. He's slicker than Kovalev. He has athleticism, fast twitch muscles, reflex, and speed. He's coordinated. He's confident. He's undefeated. He's never been stopped. He's an Olympian. Different fight. Same thing with Charlo. You would do it with a bigger guy, but he also has a great piston-like jab, a jab that floored Julian J. Rock Williams, who is now a unified champion in that former division that Jamal was in. Jamal is aggressive and mean. He has a mean streak to the way he fights. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I think this boils down to. They're trying to get a big fight for Canelo, and an Eastern European or European fighter, someone who fights like that stereotypical, Eastern European style, not much on the hooks, not a crazy inside work and stuff. They like his chances with that more than Charlo. You're gonna have to come. You're gonna have to probably go through a couple different game plans. Andre, you probably have to go through some different game plans. Chris Mannix of DAZN and Sports Illustrated, the one that wrote the article, also put this: radio silence the last few hours between Golden Boy and main events on Canelo versus Kovalev. Golden Boy has told main events they will move on if no deal today, per source. Main events is waiting for an improved offer. Fight on the brink of falling apart. Again, these are the types of things that where people kind of check out and lose interest. The other thing is this: Jacobs, and this is one of DAZN's problems. They put everything. Canelo got this lucrative deal, this $365 million for 10-11 fights, and they make it all public. And you wonder why people, they're like, nah, you got to pay me right. You want me to fight Canelo? Nah, you got to pay me like you weigh. So anyway, the commission report said Jacobs was getting 2, but then they made it a point to let people know he's getting actually closer to $10-12 million. Guess what? Look what Kovalev's team is wanting. They're like, yo, my dude is a champion. He's a 3-time champion. He beat Bernard Hopkins, who is a promoter for Golden Boy. He's a promoter for y'all, and he beat him in a one-sided fight, hurt him, dropped him, almost stopped him in the 12th round. And that was like the beginning and the end for Bernard Hopkins, pushed him towards retirement. You're going to have to pay us. Kovalev's team is doing right. They should have every right to be exploiting this offer, because they're going to have to fight a squirrely, smaller Canelo with fast hands. And this is this is the funny thing. People always want to compare like Canelo and what he's doing with Floyd and stuff. Floyd never had these problems. Floyd says, I'm fighting Maidana, and then the offer was made, and Maidana likes the offer, boom, done. But you start to get to these other current modern stars like Anthony Joshua and Canelo, and the way they're being represented or whatever the situation is, they keep running into this problem where, guys like getting in negotiations to fight Anthony Joshua, and then they're like, nah, I'm being lowballed, fuck that, I'm not taking that. A guy's in negotiation to fight Canelo, and oh hey, we got a lowball offer. That was a ridiculous offer. DAZN came in the game saying it was the American, especially Eddie Hearn said it was the American takeover. They said they're gonna take over the globe. Pay-per-view's dead. Where are the resources to do this? If pay-per-view is dead, put together these alleged pay-per-view fights at the cheaper price point. They've already hiked up their price 100%. DAZN has, and they did this 8 months, after launching in the US. This looks like a fiasco. The other thing is I feel like they haven't done a great job promoting some of their big fights. Sometimes they've had bigger fights in this fight week and they don't even feel like it. I'm a diehard boxing fan who covers boxing. I'm like, damn, I don't feel the energy. The Grand Arrivals was kind of light. The people, the Instagram pages posting about it, I don't really see it. Versus when Canelo was fighting Triple G or, whoever, Mayweather, it felt like a fight week. And like I said, they put all their business in the streets about how much people are getting and how much lucrative deals. Canelo's signing the richest sports contract and Jacobs getting 12 million. And then you wonder why people, want top dollar. The same thing happened with Eddie Hearn when Gerald Miller, Big Baby Miller, failed a drug test and they needed a replacement opponent. Luis Ortiz's team, I guess, was contacted and they're trying to get the best deal. And they're like, all right, DAZN, y'all got so much money, cash out. And they're like 6 million, 7 million. They're like, nah, more, and this is what's happening. But Canelo, this is not a good look too, because again, Canelo is supposed to be the face of boxing, the A side. DAZN, they said pay-per-view's dead, and they got, $1 billion. Eddie Hearn was very boastful, gloating, saying that DAZN had $1 billion to spend per year, and they have the most money out of all the platforms like ESPN and Premier Boxing Champs and Top Rank. They had the bigger budget. Then how come these fights aren't getting sold up? How come we couldn't see Anthony Joshua versus Luis Ortiz? What is the downfall? What is causing these fights to not materialize? You know, I don't know what's going to happen with this Kovalev fight, but all I know is they're cutting it close, you know, and again, it's not a good look for DAZN, who came in the game kind of, you know, waving their wallets and, you know, big bank take little bank type of attitude. What's taking so long? Like, what's taking so fucking long? Like, pay Kovalev he's definitely a big name, you know, he has a name. It's a weird fight. I'm telling you my opinion. My opinion is I would rather, just my opinion, my personal opinion. The other thing I don't like, it disrupts. Kovalev was supposed to fight Anthony Yard. I actually really like that fight. And that's a light heavyweight fight. So take care of your mandatory. Then the Canelo shit can happen at any time, you know? But why would I want to see Canelo bypass 160 and 168? Why? When there's a talent pool there, you know, you haven't even proved you're the best. You got like 2 more guys to go through at 160. Why I want to see you at 175? You didn't prove you could beat Caleb Smith at 168. David Benavidez, Caleb Plant. Why I want to see you a division higher than that? You know, that's different. Even the Mikey Garcia fighting Errol Spence, it was different because we've seen Mikey constantly move up and he seemed bored, you know, and nobody else was willing to fight Errol Spence. There's someone else willing to fight Kovalev, and it's his mandatory. Anthony Yard. It's Dimitri Bivol. He said we reached out to them. So there's other people down to fight Kovalev. So it's not like Canelo has to be the person to fight him next. So, you know, it's just, this is not a good look. It's like, to me, this is showing more, in my opinion, of DAZN's blueprint, and it looks like they're after money and they're trying to recoup. That's why they're trying to create this. They're trying to create events as opposed to just listen to the fans and do what's reasonable and within what's in your power. You know, Canelo's supposed to be a big star. He should be able to fight Demetrius Andrade, who's aligned with DAZN. Why would DAZN not approve that? Why would DAZN not put him, Demetrius Andrade, who is down to fight him? Why would they not have him as a candidate, and they're only willing to approve Triple G or Kovalev? Why? For what reason? You know? And it looks like the Black Murderers Road 2.0, like they're trying to create events more than do what's right and what's reasonable. And that's not a good look if it looks like you're avoiding certain competition to fight like makeshift fights just to have an event. You shouldn't have to do all that, you know? Again, me personally, I like Kovalev versus Anthony Yard better. And then if Kovalev, why doesn't, here's the, see, it's just like the franchise belt. See, we could do this all day. You know, it's just like the franchise belt. If the WBC wanted to be fair about it, since Jamal Charlo had been patiently waiting, doing eliminators, supposed to fight Canelo, order Canelo, right? Order Canelo versus Charlo. Winner becomes the franchise champion. That makes sense to me. People wouldn't have a problem with that because it's a fair, you know, whoever wins this fight is the franchise champion. That's fair enough. You know, similarly, let's see Anthony Yard versus Kovalev, which was talked about before this radical move up in negotiations talk with Canelo, right? And then if Anthony Yard, let's see if he's able to beat Kovalev or whatever the outcome is, and then Canelo fight the winner. You know, what if Anthony Yard wins? Then Canelo versus Anthony Yard. You know, why not wait for that to happen? Doesn't really make sense to me. But either way, if it's supposed to be a mega fight, be it Kovalev, Andrade, Triple G, or whoever, you know, I don't know what he's gonna decide. You know, this could be a ruse or some kind of ploy or whatever. But whoever he's gonna fight, Kovalev, Triple G, Andrade, Jaime Munguia, whatever, they got 8.5 weeks before showtime, before fight week. Seems like they would want to get the ball rolling like yesterday. You know, so it just shows me that there's some turmoil there. You know, people and parties, I don't think are on the same page, because I think DAZN really thought Canelo and Triple G was gonna get done, and they didn't foresee Canelo having a standoff and saying, yo, I'm not fighting Triple G. You know, they thought, okay, Triple G's aligned with us, Canelo's aligned with us, he just got past Jacobs, boom, we got us a fight. And it's already been built up from HBO, the first and second fight. So I think they just thought it was a done deal, a for show thing, and now they're seeing how stubborn Canelo is. I don't think Canelo's fucking with Triple G. I don't think he wants to. So now they're like, fuck, all right, we can't get him. There's nothing in the contract that forces him. That's what DAZN, if they're paying them all this money, they should have put certain things in the contract like HBO did. HBO, they re-upped with Andre Ward. It was a 3-fight deal for X amount of money. That's his business. But one of the fights he had to fight to complete that deal contractually was SERGEY KOVALEV, and he did it not once. The first fight was close, so he rematched him. Why would DAZN as a business not do this and give Canelo all this money with his history of, you know, picking fights and doing what he wants, and, you know, you ain't gonna dictate to me type of attitude, and not put in his contract, yo, within 5 fights, you need to fight Gennady Golovkin, because we got to try to get some of this money back. This is the fight we want. We got to get this out of you. You know, that doesn't make sense to me. If you the one paying the person, then you should have a say-so in it, period. You know? And the other angle is, for the life of me, I cannot understand why Demetrius Andrade is not one of the top choices. It's an easy fight, quick turnaround for him. You know, they're both aligned with DAZN. This is just a bad look that DAZN would rather work with ESPN and main events and all this other shit with a fighter that's not even theirs, 2 weight classes above, to give Canelo some, you know, circus fight, rather than an in-house fight, an in-house champion, and an undefeated name, which is, I think, a good stylistic matchup. Canelo's not in boring fights, so, you know, he would probably force Demetrius Andrade to be sharp just because he's a good fighter. You know, so this whole thing is a mess. I'll just wait and see what Canelo decides. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Boxing Ego Unpacked. We unpack. Let me know what you guys think. We working. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.